Assalamualaikum, we are from Group 8. Is going to present on the wastewater treatment of blood, organic acid, fats and oils, and color pigments. First of all, these are our group members. Next, these are our content of the presentation. What is wastewater? It refers to a complex matrix containing significant concentration of solids, dissolved and particulate matters, microorganisms, nutrients, heavy metals, and also micropollutants. In a simpler word, wastewater is an impure or used water coming from the industrial, domestic, and commercial uses. The wastewater can be hazardous to human health and pose negative impacts on the ecosystem. It is vital to treat the wastewater in order to produce clean and reusable water that can be used for many purposes, including drinking. The wastewater treatment is beneficial to reduce environmental pollution and water loss. It can also result in production of energy and natural fertilizer. The contaminants that present in wastewater includes biological, physical, and chemical contaminants. The way of removing these contaminants varies, and the wastewater is usually treated by stages: preliminary treatment, primary treatment, and secondary treatment. To ensure an effective treatment is achieved, the type of waste and the composition of wastewater should be identified. In some situations, an advanced treatment may be employed to obtain an optimal water quality. Now, my friends will explain about the treatment used to manage the different types of waste.
Next, I will present about wastewater treatment on blood. It has been found that direct discharge of untreated blood in the sewage system increases the organic pollution load on the wastewater. Therefore, blood's high organic pollution load poses risk to the environment if discharged without proper treatment. Among the risks, discharging untreated blood to water streams depletes the dissolved oxygen, enriches the nutrient content, induces septic conditions, and spreads microbial and viral waterborne diseases. Therefore, blood collection and treatment are the best approaches to manage, control, and decrease the pollution caused by slaughterhouses' wastewater. Firstly, anaerobic digestion is the natural process in which microorganisms break down organic materials. In this instance, organic means coming from plants or animals. Anaerobic digestion happens in closed space when there is no air. Biogas is generated during the anaerobic digestion when microorganisms break down organic materials in the absence of air. Biogas is mostly methane and carbon dioxide with a very small amount of water vapor and other gases. The carbon dioxide and other gases can be removed, leaving only the methane. Methane is the primary component of the natural gas. The material that is left after the anaerobic digestion happens is called digestate. Digestate is a wet mixture that is usually separated into a solid and a liquid. Digestate is rich in nutrients and can be used as fertilizer or crops. In this case, digestate of the bloods are recovered proteins, which are then used as a blood meal, a key ingredient in animal feeds. This is due to the high content of blood. Many of other byproducts are also processed further into valuable products. Anaerobic digestion is the preferred method of slaughterhouse wastewater treatment due to its effectiveness in treating highly concentrated industrial effluent. Anaerobic systems have the advantage of achieving low sludge production, minimum energy requirements with a potential resource recovery, and high chemical oxygen demand removal. Nevertheless, anaerobic treatment barely complies with current discharge limits. Complete stabilization of the organic compounds is difficult due to high organic strength of slaughterhouse wastewater. Therefore, an additional treatment stage is recommended to remove the organics, nutrients, and pathogens that remains after anaerobic treatment. On the other hand, anaerobic treatment requires a higher space and a higher residence time to achieve high overall treatment efficiency, affecting the economic viability of anaerobic treatment alone. Accordingly, the combination of anaerobic and aerobic processes is necessary to achieve a maximum efficiency for treatment of slaughterhouse wastewater.
Okay, next, I will talk about the wastewater treatment containing the color pigments. There are many removal techniques such as chemical oxidation, precipitation, filtration, and aerobic and anaerobic microbial degradation, and also biological techniques can be employed to remove the color from the wastewater. But today, I will highlight this one technique, which is the absorption technique. This method is the most common method of treatment to remove the color from water. The materials used are clay, activated carbon, and ferric oxide. One of the materials used for absorption is activated carbon, AC. Along with the color removal from water, this conventional treatment is designed to absorb particles and organic contaminants in water that may result in bad taste and color. Okay, so how these absorption techniques remove color? As you can see for this example, the large tank is filled with activated carbon, and water to be treated is passed through the carbon bag. Color pigments will stick to the activated carbon filter as contaminants. The activated carbon filters are extremely porous and have a very large surface area, which makes them very efficient at removing the color. So the porous carbon have low rate filtration, makes contaminant adhere to the filter. So lastly, there are many techniques to remove color from the dye wastewater, but these conventional treatment techniques are rather expensive. So the advantages of absorption technique is it is effective, efficient, and economic process to remove dyes, pigments, and other colorants, and also to control the biochemical oxygen demand.
So I will continue with how to treat organic acid in wastewater. Organic acid in wastewater can use different type of biological treatment, as example membrane filtration and also activated sludge process. So this process introduces air or oxygen into a mixture of primary treated or screened wastewater combined with organism to develop a biological floc, which reduce the organic content of the sewage, which is largely composed of microorganisms. So with this biological floc, we could degrade the organic pollutant and biotransform the ammonia in wastewater. So basically, the process consists of two steps, which is adsorption followed by the biological oxidation. So actually, both membrane filtration and also the activated sludge process more or less are the same technique and principle. However, in activated sludge process, we have separation of water and sludge through settlement. Meanwhile, in the membrane filtration method, use membrane which is more efficient and less dependent on oxygen concentration of the water. So the benefit of using membrane filtration technology is cost-effective technique, and secondly, it has a small footprint and ability to meet environmental discharge regulations. Okay, the membrane bioreactor has higher organic pollutant and ammonia removal efficiency in comparison with the activated sludge process. Besides, the membrane bioreactor process also capable to treat wastewater with higher mixed liquid suspended solid MLSS, so concentration compared to activated sludge process. So this will reduce the reactor volume to achieve the same loading rate.
I will proceed with the wastewater treatment containing oils and fats. Actually, the best way to treat FOG, fats, oils and grease is by treating it at the source. Therefore, grease trap is very important. It's useful especially for the fat and oil industry, food industry, as well as food service setting like restaurant. The working principle, as you can see in the diagram, is quite simple. When the wastewater enters the grease trap, the denser solid food particles will sink to the bottom, whereas the lighter or the less denser or FOG will float to the top. Then the water will become cleaner, relatively grease-free, and enter the normal septic system. Alright, and for the advantages, as you can see, it can prevent FOG from entering the main water lines. It prevents damage to sewage collection systems. The most commonly used method to treat fat and oils is actually dissolved air flotation (DAF). Is a substitute for sedimentation. It can improve effluent quality, splitting, startup, elevated percentage of operational and heavier sludge. For the working principle, firstly, aeration occurs on a fraction of recycled wastewater at a pressure of about 400 to 600 kilopascal in a pressure chamber. As you can see, number 1 in the diagram. And then air-saturated water will be introduced into a flotation tank containing untreated wastewater. As you can see, number 2, this occur in normal ATM. And then heavy solid will form sediment while the air bubbles attach to the fat particles. And the fat particles surrounded with many microbubbles become less denser and rise to the top. As you can see for the animation, in the animation you can see. Lastly, the suspended waste is collected and removed, and this is the end of the process.
In conclusion, the treatment technologies for wastewater treatment in industry were already discussed. For removing blood, wastewater, anaerobic digestion is a preferred method due to its effectiveness in treating highly concentrated industrial effluent since organic compounds are degraded by anaerobic bacteria. Absorption technique by activated carbon was shown to selectively remove colorant from waste as a means to recover valuable constituents these waste. Moreover, membrane filtration is used to remove organic acid from water, which involves absorption and biological oxidation. And last but not least, the most effective way of removing FOG is to prevent it from entering the wastewater treatment system by applying waste traps and AF. Waste traps are referred to plumbing devices which prevent FOG from entering sewer network in order to prevent damage to sewage collection systems. And whereas DAF has been widely used as an alternative to sedimentation in the field of water treatment. And